going to be great. Okay. So let's see, John, I think you were next. My hubby, come off, and I can't wait to hear what you're going to say.
Well, same kind of theme. I was just sitting here. Number one, I want you to get ready with those big smiles, everybody, and your coffee cups, because I'm going to grab a shot of this so we can put this out on Instagram, MySpace, all that stuff. So if you got your coffee, everybody do one of these, because you know it's the thing. And so 3, 2, 1. Let me get in there a little bit. Oh, look at you guys. Okay. So one of our fellow coaches and one of my newer friends in the last year, because of Optavia, one of my dudes, Clay and Amy, they're out in Arizona. They're ranchers, they're cattle people, and they both had like tremendous, weight loss stories. Anyhow, they just purchased, I think it closed this week or last week, a restaurant in their little town in Arizona. Can't remember the name of it. It's called Antlers. And so they've purchased a restaurant, and part of what they're going to be doing is having lean and green recipes brought into the menu, into the flow, so that people can have healthy choices coming in. They're going to train their staff on these things. And I just thought, man, that's just, kind of out there thinking. It's not the typical, pop up with Popeyes and chicken and everything else. It's, on your main drag in your town. You're going to be able to go into Antlers and, have the normal food. Of course, it's not going to be a full blown lean and green, but I just thought, how cool. They've found this program that changing their life, doing so much better in all areas. Now they've launched into another adventure. And then he's telling me how they're going to do these lean and green recipes on there. I just thought that was great. That was a win for me as a friend to somebody to encourage him. So yeah, cool stuff.
Anyway, that's awesome. Yes. Thanks for sharing that. And yes, when you meet people through this organization, and you get to see all the cool things they're doing, it's great to celebrate that. Okay, Tammy.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm totally, because I do this, going off on another direction. I don't know if you can see these or not, but
yes.
These are that Mickey and I found this one like in an antique store.
Yes.
And I just like the yellow stuff. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I just liked it. And so my friend Leanne and I had gone into Pandora and found just like a little band. So it could look like a little wedding set, right?
Yes.
And I have not been able to wear these for probably 2 years or more. And now not only can I wear them, but I don't know if you can tell, like I can spin that sucker around. It's loose enough that
I love it.
And I didn't even know if I could. So I'm just going to try this and see if they fit. I've been wearing them all week. I've been so excited.
I love it. It's interesting. That was one of my first non-scale victories as well. My wedding ring was so tight, I couldn't even get it off my finger. And yes, 100%. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Those non-scale victories are what keep us going. Like you say, now you've been wearing it all week. Love it. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Any kind of victory, scale or non-scale victory? Brooke, I know Brooke's got a good one. You come off, my friend. Go ahead.
Hey. Good morning, everybody. I actually am about ready to embarrass Ann because I've had huge success from this program since February 14th. I've lost almost 30 pounds. I want to talk about Ann. It's not even week 1, so I'm going to let her tell you what amazing success she's had so far. So.
Yay.
Ann, are you on?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm on day 3.
Yay.
I'm on day 3 and I know today's day 4, the beginning of day 4, sorry. But 3 days in. So I weighed in this morning and I'm down 4.7 pounds already. So I'm pretty excited. I feel great. And I'm just glad that Brooke told me about this. So she looks great.
Ann.
Great success. So.
Yes. Ann, where are you coming from? Where are you at?
Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yes. I see the beautiful, looks like some rolling hills you got there behind you. It's a beautiful scenery.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Yes. Well, we are glad to have you on, Ann. Thank you so much for sharing. And that is amazing. You just keep it up, keep going. And every day it gets better and better. So, all right, well, let's see. Yoli.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So It's a non-scale victory.
Okay, we
At
love
school, we've
those.
been celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yes.
And of course, that's always a battle because they only do food every day, which is, a whole different thing.
Yes.
But one of the things that was about a week and a half ago, like the last month, I've been struggling with some mental stuff that I've been working through. And about a week and a half ago, they sent out a text and said, "What size shirt do you wear?" And without thinking, I immediately said medium. Don't know why. And the minute I said that, I was like, you probably should have gotten a large because see, it's always been a 2X.
Yes.
I'm like, you probably should have got a large because if that shirt's cut different, then whatever. So I've worried about that shirt for a week and a half and we were supposed to wear it Wednesday. And Wednesday morning, I got up and I thought I'm going to have to do the old iron it and stretch it a little bit trick to put it on so that it fits. But Wednesday morning, I got up, I put on the shirt and it fit. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever gotten a medium shirt for school.
So
and not
amazing.
even, it was like, whoa, this actually fits. So that was my,
Yes. Oh,
and it
I
really
love
helped
that,
with the other
Yoli.
mental stuff that I've been dealing with over the last last month or so.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Yoli. That is amazing. And that just gives everyone on here hope for what's to come. And as you said, so did you start at a 2X when you started program? Wow, that is amazing. And now you are a medium. I can't even imagine how that must feel for you. So I'm so glad that you shared that. That is awesome. That is why we do what we do. I love it. Anybody else before we get started? Because honestly, what you just were talking about, Yoli, is what we're going to be discussing, which is the mental. Anyone who thinks they are coming into this program for weight loss is honestly about month, I would say 2 or 3 is like, this is so much more than weight loss. And it is so much to the mindset. Anybody else before we get started? Last chance. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and screen share. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to just do a brief overview for the people that were not on last week. And I'm just trying to, here we go. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to figure out how to get to the actual slide presentation. And it's not wanting to let me. How do I get this bar down? There we go. Slideshow. Okay. All right. This last week, we started talking about that you are the dominant force in your life. Okay, so Dr. Anderson here in Element 4 says, my goal is for you to become the dominant force in your life. When you have internal stability and external equilibrium, each day of your life will become all out magical. You will possess a habit that most have never even thought about. And I don't know about you, but as you go through life and depending on where you work, if you're with the public or dealing with people, you are going to see this to be 100% true. Michelle, I think it was, shared last week that she is in customer service and just what she deals with on a daily basis and the barrage of people's feelings and emotions and lack of emotional intelligence. And here's the thing. Has anyone ever blamed someone else for really what you are responsible for? Because sometimes it's hard for us to take personal responsibility. But if I were to ask you the question, who is responsible for your health? What's your answer going to be? Why don't you put that in the chat? What you feel like the answer to that? Who is ultimately responsible for your health? Well, I'm going to tell you, I can't see the chat to see who's saying what, but you are, not your spouse, not your parents, not the way you were raised, not your kids, not your work situation. You are ultimately responsible. And even your doctor is not responsible. You are. So I think that's very important for us to keep in mind. And that just goes, and it's honestly not just in your health, it's in your life in general. Okay, so we're going to move on to the mindset. It's time for you to become the dominant force in your life. And many of us have spent many years just wandering through our life, letting things happen, feel like life is happening to us and there's nothing we can do. So we just do what we can to get through the day instead of saying, no, if I want to make the changes, it's time for me to do what's necessary to create the life that I want. It's all about you creating the life that you want. Okay, so who's responsible for your current health and well-being? You are. We talked last week briefly about this. Are you above or below the line? Tell me if you have ever seen this before you entered program or got into your life book. I would love to know. I had never heard of this before I got into Optavia 4 years ago. And this has been life-changing for me. And so we have this sort of like imaginary line here. And when we are operating in a healthy way in life, we're going to have a mindset that is open, curious. It's about growth and mindset. Looks like they missed it. My little teacher brain is going, they misspelled that word. So below the line, you're very closed, you're defensive, and you want to be right. We talked about last week that if you sit here with your arms and your hands are like in fists and you're just tensed up, that is a posture of being very defensive. You're very closed off. You're wanting to do battle versus being relaxed, having your hands open. You're much more open and curious and have a growth mindset. If you go into conflict with only wanting to be right, I feel like you're probably going to lose every time. And so, and I don't mean lose the argument, but just in your growth, we want to be open and curious with what every situation that we are in. Okay, so that's where we left off. Now we get into some really good stuff, and this is called the drama triangle. Oh boy, there's a lot to talk about here with the drama triangle. Again, has anyone ever seen this before? Has anyone done a dive into this element 4? Because this is amazing, and I will not be able to do it justice in the few minutes that we have this morning. It's definitely something to go back and read. Remember too, there is an Optavia YouTube channel that you can subscribe to, and you can watch any of the, there's lots of videos on element 4 with different people sharing their take on this. Okay, so we call this sort of this victim mentality. It's not fair. I will tell you that I lived most of my life. I can remember as a child saying to my mom, it's not fair. And her response was, does anybody know what my mom said? Because I imagine I wasn't the only one that said this. Life isn't fair. That was the response that I got. It's not fair. Life isn't fair. And I would say, I would get frustrated. I'm like, well, if it could be fair, why can't we make it fair? So, but again, just staying in this victim mindset. All right. Then you also have this hero who in your relationships, in your job, in whatever, likes to play the hero. I'm here to save the day. I will say early on in my coaching, I had a tendency to be here in this hero area of this drama triangle. I wanted to fix everything for everybody else, but ultimately, why? Was it about them or was it about me? Ultimately, it was about me because it made me feel better. It made me feel good. It made me have in my mind significance, or my identity was in helping other people. But ultimately, if I'm fixing it for them, am I helping them? I have to let them have some empowerment in this. All right. And really all you're doing is enabling victims. Then how many of us have been in the villain portion where you're all about blame? Do you meet people like this, that they are blaming somebody, something constantly, and sometimes even themselves, taking all the responsibility on themselves, but it's all about blame or finding fault. And then you go back up to, it's being done to me. If we could ever switch our mindset that instead of life is happening to me, to life is happening for me, my friends, huge mindset shift, huge. Because if something's happening for you, okay, it's teaching me a lesson. It's helping me grow. There's an obstacle I have to overcome. I want to be someone who talks about a solution more than the problem. Do you have friends or people in your family or people at work that constantly want to talk about the problem? Maybe those are some people you might need to step away from for a little bit and get around people who are talking about solutions. Solutions over problems. Life is happening for me over life is happening to me. And it is a mindset shift. This is something that takes time and it takes reinforcement. I was a teacher long before being a coach, and that's what we did with our students. It was all about reinforcement. When you introduced a concept, you had to reinforce it in many different ways. Okay, so now we want to switch from that drama triangle, because I don't know about you, I spent too many years in that drama triangle. Now, this is where we want to get to, the empowerment triangle. This is where you're going to grow into. And this is where your coach can help you. This is where you get into this life book. This is where you start talking to people and you realize, I need to spend more time with this person. Wow, they're really helping me create a new story. What is the key word in that very first, that the creator box? I am creating my new story. Creating is the key word. Write that down somewhere. Okay. I think it would be helpful for you to journal. What do you want your life to look like in 5 years? And separate it into different areas. Separate, what do I want my finances to look like in 5 years? What do I want my marriage to look like in 5 years? What do I want my family? What do I want my health? Where do I want my career or job? Where do I want that to be in 5 years? Write that down somewhere, put it on a vision board. Then you create it. You have the ability. You are the dominant force in your life. You don't let things just happen to you. You don't just have to say, okay, well, maybe, in 5 years, maybe I want this to happen. No, you write it down and then you find a way to create that. Okay. Then you get to where you are the coach. I help others get better, but I do it by empowering them, not doing it for them, not rescuing them. That doesn't help anybody. If you empower them and you give them the tools necessary to create this new story, then you're coaching them. And this is with your kids. This could totally even be in your family. This can apply to so many areas of your life. All right, now let's go into the challenger mode. I am open and curious to learn. Obstacles help me get better. And again, that brings you back to, I am in charge of what happens. All right, so I want you to think about a situation this week that's happened in your life where you either went above the line, below the line, or you had an opportunity to do one or the other. And then you looked at this, if you look at this empowerment triangle, see where you landed on that. Were you in the drama triangle? Were you in the empowerment triangle? Or here? This is where your presence is. Something happens. Think about this. Something happens. Okay. At this point, we have to take action. We have to make a choice. Did you stop, challenge, and choose? Because when something happens, you're going to drift one way or the other. You're going to go to stop, challenge, and choose, or you're going to come down here to the drama triangle. It is way more difficult to recover if you make it all the way to the drama triangle. But no matter either which one you chose, you can still shift back up here. So I will give you guys an example because we're running close on time here. So this week we were headed out to, and I'm going to take this off stop share so I can see your beautiful faces. Kelly, I don't know how to stop share.
At the bottom, you should see where it says stop share at the very bottom.
Okay. Did that do?
So
I don't think so. Because I don't see everybody.
Usually it's at the top when you're in presentation mode. If you push your mouse all the way to the top, that's where it is.
Okay.
The little green bar comes up.
Okay.
oh yeah.
Okay. Click to well. I don't see everybody, but I don't want to waste a lot of time with it. But my point is, okay, so this week I had a situation where we were headed on vacation with our RV and we were pulling our Jeep. Now, I will say that our Jeep is a 1997. So that's an antique. Geez, I hate to think that. I'd already had kids by then, but okay, so maybe that makes me an antique. But so we were pulling that. And we were about halfway to our destination. And all of a sudden, someone pulled up next to us and was like motioning that we needed to pull over, that something had happened. Well, sure enough, it did. And we were on the side of the road. And when you're on the side of the road in an RV and you have semis coming by and other RVs and whatever, and I mean, it's not necessarily the safest position, shall we say, but yeah, so we walked back and the Jeep, basically the drive shaft had come out, the steering in the front had snapped in half. I don't know what else is wrong, but at that moment we knew we couldn't tow it anymore. So we had to call roadside assistance, which is something you pay for, and had never done that before, had to walk through all this. Well, it took them 3.5 hours to get there. All right, so I will say that I kind of bypassed stop, challenge, and choose and went straight to the drama triangle when I was originally talking to the people on the phone, because, well, not originally, but an hour into it, and I still had no word of anybody coming or anything. So I was all the way down in the drama triangle. But, you know, there came a point where I had to make a decision. I had to say, you know what? I can stay frustrated. I can stay upset. I can stay down here in this, but it's not going to change the circumstance. I'm still going to be on the side of the road. How am I going to choose to spend this time? At the time, I didn't know it was going to be 3.5 hours, but regardless, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay down here and get my blood pressure up and I'm going to get tensed up and be so frustrated and upset? Or can I just let it go because I have no control over when they're coming? I can take a deep breath. I can calm down. There was work that I was able to do. There was a book I was able to read. I still ended up making it to the beach in time for sunset. And, you know, life is happening for us. I learned a lot in that situation. I learned about who to call, what to do if it ever were to happen again. Like, there was actually a lot for me to learn with all of this. So I feel like, you know, there was good that came out of it. Do we still have a broken Jeep? Yes. So, but you know what? I still have had 5 days on the beach with my family and it's been wonderful. So anybody else have a situation this week where they had something happen, circumstantial, that they couldn't change, where either they did a stop, challenge, choose, or did you go below the line, go into the drama triangle, and then shift back up to getting into a positive mindset? Anybody else have a situation? I cannot get this to stop sharing, everybody. Gretchen, I'm so glad. I can't see you, but it came up here. So Gretchen, go ahead. Gretchen, you're on mute, I think.
I said, I'm so sorry if I get emotional, but Yoli and Kelly knows that my daughter has been dealing with congestive heart failure since like December. And we had to go to Houston, Texas, because her mom was visiting family there and she had to be admitted, and her heart was at a level 10. Now, they usually say you can't function with your heart below a 15. And so I just knew that we had to be there for her mom, if nobody else, because Shantae was already being taken care of. And so I told my husband, we have got to go. And so thank God I had some extra food with Octavia, because I would have been a hot mess eating anything and everything on that 12-hour drive that I usually eat. You know, every stop we make, I'm getting chips, I'm getting sodas or whatever, but I had my plan and I said, Gretchen, I put the blinders on like the horse. I said, you are not gonna eat anything out of this store, go use the bathroom and come out and eat your Octavia. And so I did have my one meal. It was usually a turkey sandwich or something like that, because I know turkey was really good. And so I gave my husband the tomatoes and usually I take the lettuce or whatever else they have on there that was probably not good. And so, and I know it was the Holy Ghost that told me pack for 2 weeks. We were only gonna stay there for a week. And so thank God I packed extra food, because we did wind up staying for 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, I'm almost out of my bars, and my bars is like my life. I love my bars. And then I started saying, okay, instead of 1 shake, I'm gonna do 2 shakes, because I know I was safe with the shakes. But the place we were at didn't have a stove. And so I couldn't really cook my pancakes, because that was my go-to thing. Again, like I told Kelly, I tried it in the microwave, Kelly. Nah, that did not work too well for me. Maybe I didn't do it the right way, I don't know. But to say all that, God just kept me on my plan. Did I have some down times? Yes, I did, because sometimes we stopped places. I was like, okay, fried chicken or pizza. Okay, pizza without the stuff on it, I don't know. And so, you know, I just made a do whatever I could. But I just want to give God all the glory that he, for Octavia, kept me sane and, you know, not overweight. And my daughter is doing so much better. She is finally got transferred to the hospital we needed her to go to. And she's supposedly in pray. She's supposed to be getting her new heart pump on Wednesday. So
yes,
we thank God for that.
Wow, Gretchen, thank you so much for sharing that. That was what a wonderful, wonderful testimony. And my friend, our prayers are with you and your daughter and your family during this time. But wow, that you were able to have your blinders on like the horse. I love that. You know, there's always a saying that comes out of these calls, and that one is it for me today. And I mean, that's something you need to stand up and be proud about. And thank you for sharing that. That was absolutely amazing. And again, keep us updated, please, so that we know how to pray. And that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Gretchen.
Thank you.
Yes, Renee.
Hey,
Good morning.
so that was just so inspiring and amazing. I didn't have something this week, but a couple weeks ago, when we went to Washington, D.C., we got stuck there. We were one of the 2,000 flights that got canceled. And I can kind of relate. I'm an overpacker, as most people know that know me. I'm an overpacker. So I did bring extra fuelings and things like that. And we were just supposed to be there. We flew in Thursday night. We were supposed to be there Friday and leave Saturday. And a series of multiple flights that were canceled. Mm-hmm. I was traveling with my girls by myself. Eric was still in DC. And that's really when I noticed like the biggest mindset shift that has to do with this is I was more open and more positive. And I said, you know, God has a plan and maybe we're meant to meet somebody and maybe something is meant to happen, and to just be open to it and to share with the girls, like, you know, so that they were on the same page with me and we were doing it together. And I said, you know, let's sit down and pray about, you know, where we're going to go from here, what we're going to do. But that was not a typical response from me. Like when I look at like the old me, like my husband used to look at me like, there's something wrong with you. Like your blood pressure is up, like this and that. And I literally could not control myself before, and it would scare me where I didn't recognize myself, and I knew I wasn't in control of my own emotions. And so to go through a stressful week of Ubering hours with the girls to different airports and multiple flights being canceled and trying to find a hotel, you know, all these things with them, I was so calm and, you know, doing my fuelings in the evening. Even Leah would be like, can I have a brownie? And I'm like, yes. And so like to be able to choose that and to choose, but it was all in my mindset. It was really more positive and saying, we don't have control over a lot of things, but God does. And we do have control over this, our emotions and what we're eating and what we're doing. And that was just such a huge eye opener to my response in that situation, where it totally changed the week. The girls missed mandatory testing at school, all these things. But I was like, it's okay. You know, it's all okay. It's going to work out. There's nothing we can do about it. And so that was super encouraging because I can see where this has changed me. Like, you know, getting healthy was a bonus to my mind. Like my mind has just been completely changed through this whole process. So
I agree. And I think just the example you set for your girls, and I 100% can see for myself in the same way, Renee. Like before I just wasn't able to control my emotional response. And through our situation, will say a funny, my brother-in-law was actually with me. My sister was already at the beach and he had to come home and was going back, and my husband had to work. And so he was at home. So he was with me when this happened. And as we were sitting there for 3.5 hours, he's like, do you not have anything in here besides Optavia bars? And so I guess that's what we were eating through the 3.5 hours. He's like, oh my word, do you not have anything else here? I'm like, yeah, well, it's, you know, I'm good with that. So I love all of this. Thank everyone. Thank you so much for sharing. These Saturday chats are amazing. And I know we've gone over about 10 minutes. So I totally understand if you have to hop off, but yes, thank you guys for being here this morning. And it's been amazing. Element 4 is absolutely one of my favorites. Kelly and I talked about that before you guys hopped on. And if you go to the YouTube channel and search Optavia, there are multiple options for Element 4. So you could watch a different person's perspective. You know, I know there's at least 3 or 4. So I would highly recommend that. But you guys have a fabulous week next week, and love you all, and see you next Saturday. I think Renee is leading next Saturday, Element 5. So, all right, everybody, see you later. Bye.